There's a portrait of Elizabeth I, dating from around 1575. It has a very discoloured varnish, and it has very obvious restoration, which is dark and glossy, and the varnish itself in some areas is actually broken up into little fractures, and it just has dropped the whole tone of the painting and become very flat, and you can't really appreciate the colours now, and we really don't know exactly how bright they are because it still has this varnish on. The flesh tones are quite abraded. The face, I'm sure, has been cleaned more times than the rest of the painting in the past, and it's affected the paint quite a lot, and it looks very thin, and we can see how spotty these areas here are, which I'm sure are little spotty areas of old restoration. This is the X-ray which we made, and it's another of our techniques for finding out about the execution of the painting and the materials used. And this is actually a split where the area running down through the face, there's woodworm in the board, and that's obviously made the panel split, and one of these buttons has been put across that. Then the dowels, these are the original dowels, which we weren't aware of until we x-rayed the painting. With infrared you can see things which are much less obvious on the surface of the painting itself. You can see here in the face the lines of drawing around the perimeter and the nose, and you'd also see very clearly that during the early part of the painting stage the face has actually been moved up, and there's two sets of eyes. Well, we use Italian word pentimento or pentimenti for the plural, which means changes, in English, changes in composition, but in Italian it means a regret. So these are the regrets that the eyes were placed in a lower position, and the face pattern had to be moved up to place the head a little higher in the composition. With the microscope, we can also see very dramatically the other eye that's beneath the flesh paint. And here is the first eye. And you can see it was worked up to quite a degree because it's quite strong, the image beneath. It's a question of opinion and discussion as to how visible this eye should be, because it is quite interesting to be able to see a change in composition as long as it doesn't intrude too much into the image in its final form as intended. Well, I'm really delighted so far as I've got just in these areas. It's in a condition which is much better than I thought it might be, because the restoration down the joins, it seems to be excessive and it covers original. This area here is very exciting because this little bit of lace here, which goes up from this part of the ruff, complements the one that comes from this loop down here, and that is all painted out by old restoration, and I've begun to remove some of that old restoration here, and there's still probably some here as well. There's a little window in where I've removed some varnish from the embroidery on the dress, and by comparing with the nearby areas you can see how much more three-dimensional this is. You can really imagine this as embroidery in gold. I think the biggest change is the fact that she now really occupies her pictorial space, and she's three-dimensional, and so is all her wonderful jewellery and her fantastic costume. And this embroidery, you can see it's thick gold thread standing proud of the velvet. For me, this has been a lovely project and very exciting, and it's been incredibly rewarding because it does look so complete now, and it is also in such good condition for a picture of this age, and it just has brought out the wonderful skill of the painter.